Hey bookworms, welcome back to Book Peer. I'm Paul.
And I'm Alice.
Don't forget to hit that like button.
And subscribe so you don't miss our weekly chats.
Today, we're going to explore a book. It really kind of flips the script
Oh, yeah.
on how we think about mental health, especially depression.
Yeah.
So, have you ever heard the saying, don't bottle up your emotions?
Oh, for sure.
Well, this book really suggests that what we think is depression might actually be something totally different.
It's a powerful concept. The author argues that many folks diagnosed with depression might actually be dealing with something else entirely. Suppressed emotions.
Okay.
Often rooted in past experiences.
Wow.
Even traumas that they haven't fully processed.
That's heavy stuff. So if it's not always depression, what is it then?
Well, that's where this therapy approach comes in. It's called AEDP.
Okay.
It stands for Accelerated Experiential Dynamic Psychotherapy. And instead of just talking about why you feel a certain way, AEDP encourages you to actually feel and experience those emotions in the present moment.
So we're diving into those deep-seated emotions, but how do we navigate them without, getting totally overwhelmed?
The book introduces this really helpful tool. It's called the change triangle. Imagine a triangle.
Okay.
At the top are our defenses. These are the ways we protect ourselves from uncomfortable feelings, sometimes without even realizing.
Oh, I totally do that.
So-
Like snapping at someone when I'm nervous.
Right. We all have defenses. So
Right.
things like denying how you feel, avoiding certain situations,
Yeah.
or even getting angry when you're actually scared.
Oh, okay. So those are defenses. What happens next?
Right. When we use these defenses, they lead to what the book calls inhibitory emotions, feelings we get when we try to bury our true emotions. So things like anxiety, shame, or guilt pop up.
Got it. Defenses lead to those icky inhibitory feelings. So where do the core emotions fit into this triangle?
Well, they're at the base, the foundation of it all. These are the raw, unfiltered feelings. Joy, sadness, anger, fear, the stuff we all experience. The book stresses that letting ourselves feel these core emotions fully is actually key to our mental and emotional well-being.
That makes sense. If we keep blocking those core emotions, it's like a pressure cooker waiting to explode.
Yeah.
So how does this change triangle actually work? Is it like a step-by-step process?
It is. It's about moving down the triangle.
Okay.
You start by figuring out what your defenses are. Then you recognize those, icky, inhibitory emotions they create. And this helps you finally access and deal with those core emotions you've been pushing down. It's like learning to ride a wave instead of getting pummeled by it, or trying to stop the ocean altogether.
So we're learning to surf our emotions and not drown in them or build walls to keep them out. If you're finding this helpful so far, give this episode a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more awesome book breakdowns.
Absolutely. We love connecting with fellow book lovers.
Now, the book also talks about how trauma fits into all of this, right? Especially childhood trauma.
Exactly. Trauma can really mess with our sense of safety and security. It can make us build up those defenses and inhibitory emotions. Even when there's no real danger present, it's like our emotional system gets stuck in protection mode, even when we don't need it.
So, because of past trauma, we avoid emotions, even good ones, because expressing them just feels unsafe. That's heartbreaking.
It can be. But the book's message is hopeful. It highlights that embracing our emotions, even the painful ones, is crucial for healing and growth. It's not about staying stuck in the past, but about using our understanding of it to move forward.
That's powerful stuff. The book calls this process of working through the change triangle and embracing our emotions, moving towards open-heartedness, right?
Yes. Open-heartedness is being present and engaged in life. Imagine calmness, curiosity, connection, compassion, even confidence, courage, and clarity, all roll into one.
Wow. It's like tapping into your inner superhero. Sounds amazing. But the big question is, how do we actually get there?
Well, the book has tons of practical exercises and techniques to help you work that change triangle. Mindfulness practices, grounding techniques, even journaling prompts. It's about giving you the tools to become more aware of your emotions and manage them in a healthy way.
Sounds very hands-on. Can you give us a sneak peek at some of these techniques? What are some things listeners can try right now?
One simple yet powerful technique is called name it to tame it. Just acknowledge and name the emotion you're feeling. I feel anxious. I feel sad. That simple act can give you a sense of control.
It's like taking away its power by calling it out. I like that.
Another one is focusing on your breath. 4 or 5 deep belly breaths can instantly soothe your nervous system. and ground you. It's amazing how such a simple thing can make such a difference.
The good old deep breath. We hear it all the time, but it really does work wonders. Is there any other easy techniques listeners can try?
Definitely. Try grounding yourself, literally. Stand with both feet firmly on the floor and focus on those physical sensations. It helps you feel centered, especially when emotions are running high.
These are some awesome takeaways for our listeners. It's amazing how simple practices can impact our emotional well-being. Now, I want to circle back to the practical applications of the change triangle. You mentioned earlier that it applies to relationships, parenting, even the workplace. Can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. Understanding the change triangle can be a game changer for relationships. Let's say your partner comes home grumpy and snaps at you. Instead of snapping back, pause and think. Is this anger a defense? Maybe they're stressed and their anger is masking sadness or fear. This understanding helps you react with empathy instead of getting defensive yourself.
That's a great example. It's about seeing beyond the surface and recognizing the vulnerability underneath. About parenting, how does this framework help parents?
Think of a child throwing a tantrum. Instead of immediately shutting down the outburst, consider the change triangle. Maybe they're scared, overwhelmed, or feel unheard. By acknowledging their core emotions and helping them name those feelings, you guide them toward healthy emotional expression.
It's creating a safe space for kids to feel their emotions without judgment, right?
Exactly. It's teaching emotional intelligence and giving them tools to regulate those big feelings. It's equipping them for a lifetime of healthy emotional responses.
So giving kids these skills early on sets them up for success in all areas of life. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Now, how about the workplace? How does the change triangle come into play there?
In the workplace, it's all about navigating conflict, communication, and building solid relationships. Say a coworker seems withdrawn. Instead of assuming they're being difficult, consider if they're struggling with anxiety or shame. Maybe they're afraid of failure or criticism.
So it's being mindful of the emotions behind people's actions. Instead of just seeing the behavior, we see the human.
Yes. By acknowledging those hidden emotions, we create a more supportive and productive work environment. When people feel heard and understood, they thrive.
This has been super insightful. What resonates most with you about the change triangle? Drop a comment below.
One thing that really struck me was this whole idea of, emotional authenticity.
Oh, yeah.
It's not about becoming some perfectly zen robot.
Right.
It's about learning to experience that whole spectrum of human emotion, even the messy ones, and figuring out healthy ways to express them.
Yeah, it's like embracing our messy human selves, flaws and all.
Exactly.
I love that. It's such a refreshing change from all that. Just be positive, stuff we hear so much.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that our emotions, even the tough ones, they're giving us valuable information.
Right.
They can tell us about our needs, our boundaries, what truly matters to us.
So instead of seeing emotions as enemies to conquer, we can see them as guides on this, journey of self-discovery. Now, I'm curious about this working the change triangle idea. Can you kind of break down what that actually looks like in practice?
It all starts with awareness, recognizing those defenses and the icky inhibitory emotions they bring up. So, for example, do you tend to shut down when you're hurt? Or maybe you explode in anger when you're feeling insecure.
Yeah. I think we all have our go-to defenses, right?
Yeah.
It's about noticing those patterns.
Yeah.
Getting curious about them.
Precisely. Once you see those patterns, you can start exploring the emotions hiding beneath them. That tightness in your chest, that knot in your stomach. What are those sensations trying to tell you?
It's like becoming an emotional detective, unraveling the mysteries of our inner world. And I imagine this process can be, pretty intense, right? Facing those deep-seated emotions.
It can be challenging, yeah. But the book reminds us we don't have to do it alone. Having a supportive therapist or counselor can be incredibly helpful. They can provide a safe space to process those heavier emotions.
Having that non-judgmental support system can make a huge difference. Now, what about people who haven't experienced, major trauma? Is this framework relevant for them too?
Absolutely. While the book talks about trauma, the change triangle applies to everyday life. We all experience difficult emotions, stress at work, relationship conflicts, feelings of not being good enough. Learning to handle those emotions in a healthy way is key to a happier life.
So it's not just for people with, severe mental health issues. It's like a toolkit for anyone who wants to boost their emotional intelligence and resilience.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
It's about empowering ourselves to take charge of our emotional well-being, and the book gives us those practical strategies to do just that.
Speaking of practical strategies, the book has a section called 10 techniques to lower anxiety, right?
Yes,
Can you share some of those with our listeners?
of course. Deep breathing is a classic for a reason. Taking slow, deep breaths can really calm your nervous system and ease anxiety.
It's amazing how often we forget about the power of a simple, deep breath,
Huh.
when we're stressed.
Another great one is grounding. Focus on your senses. What you feel, hear, see, smell, and taste. Bringing yourself back to the present moment can really help when your mind is racing with worries.
It's like anchoring yourself in the here and now instead of getting lost in anxieties.
And one I find particularly helpful is name it to tame it. When a big emotion hits, label it. Say, I'm feeling anxious or I'm feeling frustrated. Acknowledging it out loud can actually lessen its intensity.
It's like you're taking away its power by simply acknowledging its presence.
Self-soothing activities are also crucial. Find things that bring you comfort and relaxation. Maybe listening to music, taking a bath, or spending time in nature.
It's about filling your cup with activities that nourish your soul and help you recharge.
And never underestimate the power of connection. Talk to a friend, family member, or therapist when you're struggling. Sharing your feelings can help you process them and feel less alone.
It's a reminder that we're not meant to go through tough times alone. There's strengths in vulnerability and reaching out for support. Now, I want to touch on something that feels really relevant these days. We live in a culture that often tells us to suppress our emotions, especially men. Be strong, don't cry, suck it up. How does this book challenge those harmful messages?
Well, the book tackles this head-on by emphasizing that all emotions are valid and worthy of acknowledgement and processing. It encourages us to ditch those outdated gender stereotypes and embrace our full emotional range, no matter what society says.
It's like reclaiming our right to feel, to express, and to be fully human. That's such an important message, especially for young people who are still figuring out their emotional landscape.
Absolutely. It's a framework for understanding emotions that can benefit everyone, no matter their age or background.
We've covered a lot of ground today, and I want to make sure our listeners walk away with some key takeaways. What are the most important things you want people to remember from this book?
First and foremost, emotions are not the enemy. They're valuable messengers, guiding us towards self-awareness and well-being.
It's about learning to listen to our emotions instead of fearing them or trying to shut them down.
Another key point is that we have the power to change our relationship with our emotions. We're not defined by our past or our conditioning. Through awareness, practice, and support, we can learn to cope with tough emotions and create a more fulfilling life.
It's a message of hope and empowerment. We have the ability to choose how we respond to our emotions. We're not helpless victims.
And finally, don't forget self-compassion. This journey of emotional exploration can be tough. Be kind to yourself, allow yourself to feel your feelings, and celebrate your progress along the way.
It's a reminder that healing isn't linear. There will be ups and downs, but the key is to keep moving forward with self-love and acceptance.
Now, as we move towards the final part of our discussion, we'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this idea of emotional authenticity? Have you ever tried any of the techniques we've talked about? Share your insights and experiences in the comments. We always love hearing from you.
And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more insightful book discussions like this.
It's so important to remember that emotional health, it's an ongoing journey.
Right.
It's not a finish line.
Right.
There will be times when we feel totally in tune with our emotions.
Yeah.
And times when we, might fall back into old habits of avoidance.
Yeah. It's like learning any new skill, right?
Yeah.
It takes practice,
Totally.
patience, a whole lot of self-compassion.
Absolutely.
We're bound to stumble along the way, but the important thing is to keep practicing.
Absolutely. And that's where the change triangle comes in. It's not just like a one-time solution. It's a framework we can use again and again as we navigate the, ups and downs of life.
It's like having that trusty map to help us find our way back to emotional well-being. One thing that really resonated with me in this book was this concept of open-heartedness, this idea of living with calmness, curiosity, connection, compassion, confidence, courage, and clarity. It's such a beautiful and inspiring vision.
It is. And the book emphasizes that open-heartedness isn't some impossible dream.
Right.
It's something we can cultivate through practice and by working that change triangle.
So how do we bring more of this open-heartedness into our daily lives? Are there specific practices or habits that can help us get there?
Mindfulness is a powerful one. By paying attention to our thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations without judgment, We become more aware of our emotional patterns and can start to shift the ones that aren't serving us anymore.
Yeah, it's about creating that space between our emotions and our reactions. Instead of just reacting automatically, we pause, observe, and choose a more helpful response.
Exactly. Self-compassion is also key. When we're struggling with those difficult emotions, it's easy to fall into self-criticism. But by treating ourselves with kindness and understanding, we create a safe and supportive inner environment for healing and growth.
It's like being a good friend to ourselves,
Yeah.
offering the same compassion and care we'd offer to someone we love. So, as we wrap up our discussion, what's the most important message you hope listeners take away from this book?
I think the biggest takeaway is, we don't have to suffer in silence.
Yeah.
There are so many tools and resources available to help us understand and manage our emotions. And by embracing our full emotional range,
Right.
we open ourselves up to deeper connections, more joy, and a more fulfilling life.
It's a powerful reminder that emotional well-being is possible for all of us. It's a journey, but it's a journey worth taking. And if you're struggling, please know that you're not alone. Reach out for support, whether it's from a therapist, a trusted friend or family member, or a support group. There's strength in vulnerability and in asking for help when we need it.
And remember to be kind to yourself. Healing takes time. Be patient with the process and celebrate your progress along the way.
Thank you so much for joining us on this exploration. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to our channel for more book discussions.
And don't forget to leave a comment below and share your thoughts. We love hearing from you.
Until next time, happy reading.